We're going to continue our training on automations and workflows, and now we're going to start talking about actions, what they are, how to use them, and we're going to show you some of the most common actions that you're going to use within the system. So in our last training, we started with understanding triggers. We're going to use this as our next training. Before we actually start building these out, we're just using these as examples of how you can utilize triggers and actions. So we're going to open this up. You'll find it under automations, and then you're going to go, for us, we're going to understanding our triggers automation. We're going to click on that. And you'll see that from our last one, we left it with all our various triggers. We're going to change this just because I want to show you how easy it is to do. We're going to now change this to be understanding actions because we're going to focus on actions now. And as always, we're going to save as soon as we do. And from here, we're going to see that we have our triggers and we can always add a new trigger. But what sometimes confuses people is, well, how do I add a new action? Well, actions are the things that happen because the workflow is triggered. So somebody comes in here because they did one of these things or this happened to them. Well, what do we want to have happen now? They're here. Now, what do you want to do with them? And that's what we have to think about. Those are the actions. So the trigger gets them in. The actions are what we do in response to them coming into this workflow. The way you add an action is by clicking on the plus button that you'll see right here underneath your triggers. So we're going to click on that button and it's going to open up our actions menu. Now, there were a lot of triggers, but there are even more actions because there's so much that we can do. And for many of these actions, you're going to probably skip over them and we're not going to worry about them too much, but I want to give you some of the examples and what are the various categories. So again, just like in our triggers, we have contact categories. These are all things we can do for the contact. So we can update a contact field, meaning if they give us some information in our workflow and we go, oh, we want to make sure we update their birthday. They just fill out a form, gave us their birthday. We're going to update that. Okay. Or maybe when we add a certain tag, we update a certain field. We can do those types of things as well. Coming through here, maybe we're going to delete a contact. Maybe we're going to add a task for this contact. So there's lots of actions we can do for the contact. Maybe we're going to remove the tag that we added as an example. There's lots of things we can do here. Then we're going to do communication. And communication is where you're going to spend a lot of your time when you're working in actions because these are how we're going to send information to the contact. They are communication with. So we've got email or text messaging. You can do Facebook Messenger, Instagram DM. You can actually set up a text that you will then be notified that you should send. There's a lot of things you can do here with actions. As you can see, there's quite a few of them. One of the most favorites that most people are going to like, that's still in beta, but most people are going to like it, is our interactive Facebook Messenger and our interactive Instagram Messenger, along with our reply and comments. Those are really good actions that we're going to talk about as we continue to learn about automations together. You can also send data. This is a little bit more advanced. And then you're going to have your internal actions. These are some of my favorite, but they are a little bit advanced. One of the ones you're going to learn a lot from me, even in this training today, is about the wait action, which is an internal action. And one of my favorites is the if-else internal action. These are really important and we use these quite a bit. And so we're going to talk about those. You also have Workflow AI, which is an additional feature. Anytime you see on your actions where you see a gold crown, that's what we call a premium action. And they do come at an additional cost. In Social Connector, it's about 1.5 cents per time that it's triggered, every time it works. So just be aware of that. And most of them you're not going to need. These are very advanced. You can also create GPT workflow actions, meaning that it'll actually reach out to ChatGPT and it'll give you content. There are appointment actions you can take. We're going to skip Eliza. You don't need that. Appointment actions, opportunity actions, and even creating charges and doing automatic payments. Those actions are available. If you're using any type of Google Analytics or Facebook marketing, we have marketing actions. If you have affiliates in Social Connector, we have affiliate actions. This is our internet voice recording. So this is going to be your AI voices, which many of our users don't use, so don't need to worry about that. Then you have your membership actions, everything from granting them access to one of your course offers or creating access in a community or sending even a notification inside the community. So many things you can do here. But we're going to jump and we're going to start that regardless of how they got in here, we're going to assume that every one of them has an email, and we're going to start with our most basic communications, which is our email. So we're just going to click send email. And you'll notice right here is where we can build that action. So we're going to name it, and we're going to call this welcome email. So we're going to send a welcome email to this person who filled out our registration form. We have to put in the person's name that we're sending it from. You can leave this blank and it'll be sent using any of your default values that are under your account. So, but I recommend you put in your name. If you're not using one of our templates that's already pre-built for you, put in your name. So I'm going to say from Jeremy, and then what's the email you're going to use? And I'm going to do info@socialconnector.ai. All right. And you'll see right here, this is because we have a limitation here. So you'd have to click this. You probably won't see this. This is because we're using a Gmail item. So don't worry about this. You won't see this. But if you do, you can click on it and you can actually click to learn more. Then if you want to blind copy someone, maybe this is an email you want someone else to see, you can always add a blind copy. We're not going to, or a CC, you're not going to. You have to have a subject. And we're going to go ahead and do our subject here is like, welcome to the community. Okay. And then you could, if you wanted, you could use one of your templates that you've created in our email marketing. And you've created maybe an email template or a snippet in our marketing section. You've created snippets. You can add those directly here and then everything's done for you. Look at this. It's automatically ready to go. This email's ready and you could do that. We're not going to use the template here. We could do this one. There's so many. I can even edit a template, save it as a new template, even from right inside of here. But we're just going to keep this basic for now because I just want to show you how to use it. So let's just do none. We're going to type our message. So now we're going to say, welcome to the community. And you could add a custom value. You learned about this in our marketing areas, but you can add a custom value. And we're going to say first name. Okay. And then you're going to do, this is my message. And then you're going to do thanks a lot, Jeremy. Okay. And so it's a simple message I've created. No big deal. We're going to click save action. Oh, I didn't put a subject line because I deleted it. So I'm going to say welcome to the community. Okay. And click save action. And now look at that. Email shows up here. Welcome. Click save. Now let's say that's our first welcome email. And we go, oh, but I want to send them an email every day for a week. Great. So this will bring us to our next step, and that is a wait step. So how do I add a new action? You'll notice there's a plus sign above and there's a plus sign below our email. That's because I can add an action here. So maybe you forgot and you want to add an action later. Great. You can add it above or you can add it below. No big deal. So I'm going to add it below and we're now going to go through and we're going to do one of my favorites, which is a wait. So we're going to scroll down to our internal actions here. Also want to show you, you could just type in the word wait, and there it is. Anything with the wait in, it's going to show up. We're going to click wait. And now we have this option to add a wait. Now, a wait can be done lots of different ways, and we'll get into more advanced ways as we go through starting to build out some very common workflows. But this, again, is just understanding actions and how we add them and how we edit some of them. So I always like to name our actions. So we're going to say we want this to wait for 1 day. So we're going to wait for 1 day. So it's what we would call a time delay. So after this action takes place, we're telling it we want to wait for 1 day. So that's a time delay of 1 day. You'll see there's lots of different types of delays and waits, but we're going to stick with time delay. Okay. And so what do we want it to be? We want it to be 1 day, just like that. And again, we'll do some more advanced waits later. We also could come in and we could show you how to set it up so it only will send between these hours. But we're not going to worry about that right now, so we're going to leave that off. We're simply going to wait for 1 day, and we're going to click Save Action. Now you can see we've added a new action of wait for 1 day. So what will happen is they're going to, let's say they filled out this form. They registered for the form. They filled out the form, they get added because that triggered it. They come down here, they follow this path, they come over, they come down, and boom, they get an email. Immediately they get an email. Then it moves on and it waits for 1 day because that's what we was told it to do. Now notice what we have here for actions, because again, our entire training for this training is understanding how to use actions. Notice we now have 3 plus signs, one above our first action, one below our first action or above our second, and one below our second action. That's because we might run into a season or a thing that we go, oh, I want to add one more action here and I need to add another one. And that's where I'm going to show you in this example. So now I realize I did send an email, but I also want to send a text message. No problem. We can either send a text message or an email above or below this one. It doesn't matter. I'm going to go ahead and send it below. So I'm going to click plus, and then it says select the action, and our action picker shows up. And we're going to scroll down to our communications, and we're going to see send SMS. I'm going to select send SMS, and I'm going to say welcome text. And again, just like before, if we've used our marketing snippets and we have some pre-built snippets, we absolutely could put those in. I'm not going to do that here. So I'm just going to say, hey, I'm going to add my custom value of the first name by clicking on the custom values tag. A little exclamation mark. I'm going to say, just got your, I'm just going to say, welcome to the community. I just sent you an email. Make sure you check it out. And I just hit, now all I have to do is hit save. Now, if I wanted to add an image, I could add an image here by clicking add an attachment. You want to keep your images less than 2 megabytes, keep them very small, and you can only do 1 image per text message. But either way, I'm not going to do that here. I don't need to. And I'm going to click save action. I'm going to save my entire workflow. And notice we now have added a welcome text. So now the person comes into the workflow, they follow the path, they get an email, they get a text message right after that, and it waits for 1 day until we do the next thing. I'm going to show you my final very common action. And that common action is that we like to add a tag. We like to add a tag. And I'm going to use warm tag again because I want you to understand how actions work. So before I send them their email, before I send them their text message, I actually want to add a tag to them for organization purposes. So I'm going to click the plus sign at the very top, and I'm going to scroll down through contact actions because this is a contact action. And you'll notice we have 2 options, add a contact tag and remove a contact tag. I'm going to add a contact tag. And this contact tag is going to be warm lead. So I name my action because it keeps me organized. And then I'm going to select, and I'm going to choose warm lead. Now you'll notice I could select multiple tags, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to select warm lead. You'll also see that I could actually make dynamic tags, which are more advanced, so I'm not going to worry about that. 9 times out of 10, you're going to use a standard tag. So I'm now going to add the warm lead tag here. Now, some of you might be asking right away, and it's a good question, but you brought them in because they had the tag. Does this mean they're going to keep coming through here over and over again? Now they just got re-added? To that first question, the answer is no. What you need to know about workflows is that once a person is in a workflow, they're not going to be added to that workflow again because they're still inside of it. So they can't be in there multiple times. There's one exception to that, but we'll talk about that in more advanced trainings. The second thing you might be asking is, did you just add the same tag again? They already have it. So what happens? This one tag, a unique tag, can only be added to a contact 1 time. So anytime a person comes in here because they had the warm lead tag added to them, will only come through, it will apply it, but nothing will change, and then they'll move on. But the others will get it. So you can have them come through and get that tag added again, and it won't matter if they already have it. So these are our 4 most common types, or most commonly used. We send text messages, we send emails, we tag people for organization, and we use the most basic wait delays. There are so many other things you can do with actions, and we're going to show you that in the future trainings where we're going to actually start to build out some very common workflows. But we want to start by just giving you the understanding of how do I add one? How do I delete one? How do I change one? Notice I said delete. That's going to be my final thing to show you is how to move, how to copy, and how to delete actions. For each action, you'll notice there's 3 dots next to the action. So if we click those 3 dots, you'll see that we can add notes to this action, we can copy this action, we can move it, and we can delete it. So we're going to focus on delete for now. And so we're going to select the delete button and say, you know what, I don't want to add a tag anymore. I don't need to do that. I could just simply delete this action and this action alone, or I could delete all actions from here. Workflows always work from top to bottom. So if I click delete all actions from here, it would delete every single item in the workflow. So for us, we're only going to click delete action. It says, are you sure you want to delete this action? We say yes. And just like that, it's gone. It's that simple. It's also that simple to copy and to move actions. And so that's your training, giving you a basic understanding of what actions are, how to find them, how to add them, and how to work with them as you are adding them. In our future trainings, we're actually going to build out some very common workflows to allow you to work alongside of us so that you can also build out these workflows for yourself.